We start, as always, with drama on Footy Classified and the Bulldogs. One of the flag favourites almost going into the season. They're 0-2, bottom of the table. It's nice to be talking about footy again, albeit, but they've got some work to do, Kane Cornes.
Yeah,
and quickly.
Absolutely they do, Hutchie. Yeah, they're an ordinary football side at the moment. They are 31 and 36 since that 2016 premiership, and this was a pretty poor display. In fact, it was a very poor display, not only defensively and letting St Kilda do what they did yesterday, but that example there of the St Kilda player running through 4 or 5 Western Bulldogs players is a pretty stark example of what they produced, not only in round one, but yesterday as well, Lordo, and for the last 3 years.
Yeah, well, their last 3 performances, they've been belted. Obviously, a final last year, and we thought, what are they going to come out like in round one? They were belted by Collingwood. Then you think, OK, they've had 12 weeks, and then they go out and get belted by St Kilda. But you don't like seeing that. Alex Keith having a crack at a youngster there in Ryan Gardner, or I know he's only played a couple of games. Don't like seeing that out on the field. You know you've got a team beaten, and they're in trouble when they start having a crack at each other like that.
And no, well, a lot of irony in the fact that it happened against St Kilda after the comments by Peter Gordon, the chairman of the Dogs, a couple of weeks ago. Peter Gordon has a history of supporting the more vulnerable clubs. He's come out a few weeks ago as a Corona Cabinet member and says vulnerable clubs have to be more accountable. He's cast doubt on the future of 18 clubs. Andrew Bassett, Craig, I'm told the St Kilda chairman, was not happy at all. The club looked at a public response to the comments by Peter Gordon. Gillan McLaughlin was contacted behind the scenes.
They thought it was aimed at St Kilda in part?
They did, certainly in part. Gillan McLaughlin was contacted by several clubs, including St Kilda. And I just think there was a view yesterday that the Karma bus might have got Peter Gordon and the Bulldogs. And I think St Kilda feel that they're on the move, they're on the up. And then, of course, you've got the situation with the coach, Kane, who last year, I think midway through July, it was 2019, he signed a 3-year extension, a big contract that's going to prove very problematic for them with the soft cap being lowered as it is.
I didn't understand it, Cara, at the time I questioned it. So he had this year as it was, and we know there was a few jobs up for grabs last year, and it may have been perfect timing for him. But he signed until the end of 2023. Why would the club extend a coach who, at that period of time, hadn't been back to the finals since 2016 on a big 4-year contract and extend him out? Why not wait until the halfway point of this year or the end of this year to do so? And as you said, it could be pretty problematic for them.
Well, we just had a look at that grab where Luke Beveridge told Mark Robinson earlier this year that he had been approached by another club. The Bulldogs, I think, were of the view maybe Fremantle made an unofficial approach, and also St Kilda was very much in the market. Now, St Kilda vehemently deny that he was ever offered a job or even asked to be interviewed for the job. I'm not saying they don't love Luke Beveridge, but they didn't see him as gettable at the time. And it's just interesting that similar thing happened with John Longmire at Sydney. He got a big contract extension due to North Melbourne. And there's a lot of bitterness towards those clubs who people think are inflating the industry.
The question becomes around the selection. He's known and famous for flicking the team around. We've spent a couple of years talking about it here on Footy Classified. It's either going to work wonderfully this year when you need to rotate players, or it won't. But he was brutal on round one, wasn't he? And he left some big names out there, Lordo.
Yeah, and they've got a big Friday night game coming up against the Giants this weekend. And I think when you're down on form, I think you've got to go back to your tough competitors. I just wonder why Trengove wasn't playing ahead of Gardner at fullback, or to assist Tim English in the ruck.
Well, he's been smashed, Tim English.
He's been smashed twice, so that's a question mark. I think Billy Gower surprised a lot of people. So Josh Chackey falls out of favour. You've got Toby McLean. Everyone wants to know, has a real go. Why isn't he playing? Premiership player. Liberatore. Why isn't Libra out there? I think they just need to get some competitors back, and there's a lot of confusion at the Dogs of why people play and others don't. I'm
fascinated by Luke Beveridge. I think he's one of the most interesting people in footy. He's done what very few have done and win a flag, and that goes a long way.
He's a legend of the club, whatever happens now. But he's had since they've won that flag, they've made one final, and that's in 3 seasons.
And 31 wins, 30 outlets. But this feels like the bridge of his coaching career for me at the Bulldogs this Friday night. Like the Giants embarrassed them in the finals. They've talked a big game since about having to bounce back and been bullish on themselves. You wonder whether this game defines him. Like he's a music man, Luke Beveridge. He'll either go down as one hit on the album, or the back half of the album's going to have a heap of great songs on it, and it'll depend on how he goes in the next 6-8 weeks, I reckon, whether he can climb this team.
I reckon there'd be 10 teams that would swap lists with the Bulldogs, Hutchie, and you can tell how a team feels about their list.
But they are young, though. They're the second youngest team on the
You can tell how they feel about their list by what they do in the off-season. You don't go and add Josh Bruce and Alex Keith to your list. guys over the age of 26 to that group if you don't think you are ready to go now and willing to compete and finish top 4, which they should be with the list that they've got.
I mentioned the Giants because, as Jared Waitley said during the finals, the Giants would bring steel chairs to that game. They did. They threw Bond around. The hardness lingers. This is what was written on the... This is Luke Beveridge's reaction before the game to what was written on the weekend.
You set yourself up for those comments and those opinions, and we just got to face up to that and wear it. If that's what people think, we've got to change that opinion. I don't know whether our players read it or not, but if they do, you hope it burns a little bit. And I felt like our what we geared up for intensity-wise and contest-wise fell apart a little bit.
I think we'll find out. Are they with him? Are they with each other? Are they connected as a group by how they play Friday night against the side they despise in the Giants? Didn't like Johannesson having a broken tackle. I didn't like this effort. Take the body, take the hit, hold that ball in. They didn't want to have those actions. St Kilda want hold that ball in defence. The ball gets spat out and a goal was kicked. There could have been 3-4 goals, Hutchie, that could have shown where they'd be embarrassed about their effort this morning.